My childhood sweetheart has always mooched our meals. At the dinner table, my dad joked, Juan, why don't you just marry my son? It'll save you from running over here every day. Just as I was about to tease my dad for his wild imagination, the doorbell rang. There was a row of men in black suits at the door. The head butler bowed 90 degrees. Miss, the richest man sent me to pick you up for those multi-billion-dollar projects you invested in. We need you to come back and sign the papers. Looking at my dad's dropped wine glass on the floor and the trembling piece of braised pork in my mom's hand, I feel like the meals our family provided for the past 20 years might have fed someone unbelievably powerful. My name is Jiang Ji, just your average, ordinary guy. If I absolutely had to say something out of the ordinary about me, it would probably be that I have a childhood sweetheart and there's something slightly off about her. Her name is Lin Wanwan. She lives right across from me for as long as I can remember. It was like she was planted at our dining table. Uncheckable. 3 meals a day, never missing one. When we were little, her excuse was, Gigi's mom cooks better than my mom. When we grew up, her excuse became, Uncle, Auntie, my parents are on a business trip again. There's no one at home to cook. 20 years like a single day. Through wind and rain, even my dog, upon seeing her, would expertly nudge its food bowl into the corner. Nudge, nudge, deeply afraid she wouldn't even spare the dog food. My parents had long treated her like half a daughter. Every time they'd smilingly add an extra pair of chopsticks and a bowl. One, have the biggest piece of ribs. Look how thin you are. My mom, Madame Zhang Huifang, always looked at her with the loving gaze of a doting mother. And my dad, Conrad Zhang Zhang, after a few sips of his little wine, would pat my shoulder and sigh, Son, look how wonderful Wanwan is. Whoever marries her in the future will be so lucky. I just wanted to say, the luck is yours. The food is mine. Today was just another ordinary Saturday. The sunset shined through the window, casting a warm golden glow on our old wooden dining table that we've used for over a decade. On the table were 4 dishes and a soup, braised pork, cola chicken wings, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, garlic greens, plus a pot of corn and pork rib soup. My dad, Comrade Zhang Zhangwo, just opened a bottle of nylon, poured himself a full glass, took a satisfying sip, and said, Delicious. Your mom's cooking is still the best. My mom rolled her eyes at him. You're just a sweet talker. And the center stage of the dining table was currently occupied by Comrade Lin Wanwan. She had a chicken wing in her left hand, a piece of braised pork in her right. Her mouth was stuffed so full. Mumbling indistinctly in agreement, Auntie's cooking is the most delicious in the whole wide world. Looking at her little mouth glistening with oil, I really couldn't hold back. Lin Wanwan, were you a starved ghost reincarnated in your past life? Eat slower. No one is fighting you for it. She swallowed the meat in her mouth, glared at me, her cheeks still puffing out. None of your business. That big piece of rib in your bowl, if you don't eat it soon, it's going to be mine. As she spoke, her chopsticks reached toward my bowl. I was quick and snatched my bowl away. In your dreams, my mom specially saved this for me. You little glutton. Moochers have no right to speak. We bickered like this daily, while my parents watched happily from the side, with a comforting expression, like they were watching a young couple flirting. All right. Gigi, go easy on Wanwan. My dad spoke up. He seemed to be in an especially good mood today. He took another sip of wine, his cheeks rosy. He looked at Lin Wanwan, who was busy stuffing her face, and suddenly smiled like a sly old fox. Wanwan, what's up, uncle? Lin Wanwan looked up, still munching on a piece of greens. My dad dropped a bombshell. Look at you, coming to our house for dinner every day, just like one of our own family. Uncle wants to discuss something with you. Go ahead, uncle. Why don't you just marry our Zhao Ji? Theft. I spat out a mouthful of soup. Good thing I turned my head in time. Otherwise, this whole table of food would be ruined. My mom also froze for a second, then randomly laughed and smacked my dad. "You old fool. Having a little wine and talking such nonsense." Lin Wanwan's fair little face turned visibly red in an instant. Like a fully ripe apple, she lowered her head, nervously playing with her hem, unable to speak for quite a while. But my dad was still going at it. "I'm not talking nonsense. Look, if Wanwan marries in, she won't have to run over here every day. Saves trouble. And our family gains a daughter." Adding family to family, isn't that wonderful? The more he spoke, the more he thought his idea was absolute genius. "Xiaoji, what do you think?" He threw the question to me. I looked at Lin Wanwan, whose head was burying her face in her bowl. Then I looked at my dad's hopeful expression. My survival instinct instantly kicked me into roasting mode. "Dad, give me a break." I cleared my throat and began a deadpan analysis. "What kind of condition is our family in? I'm just a normal college student with a monthly living expense of 2,000. You are a retired lathe operator. Pension of 5,000. Mom's a community worker. Salary 4,000. Our total family income is 11,000 a month to feed the three of us. Water, electricity, gas, social obligations. It's already tight. And now you want to support another person? Don't you know how much Lin Wanwan eats? She eats as much as two of me. Rice prices are going up. Pork is expensive too. You're trying to send our family in the opposite direction of a comfortable life, towards bankruptcy." Just as I finished speaking, the air at the dinner table instantly froze. The smile on my dad's face stiffened. My mom wanted to laugh, but didn't dare, holding it in until her face turned red. Lin Wanwan slowly lifted her head. Her eyes were full of resentment, looking at me as if I were a terribly ungrateful jerk. "Jiang Ji," her lips quivered, looking as if she had suffered a massive grievance. I was just about to say, "I was just thinking about our family's economic situation," when a crisp doorbell sound shattered the awful awkwardness. Ding dong, ding dong. Who is it at this hour? My mom stood up. "I'll go get it." I quickly slipped away from the table. If I stayed any longer, I might be killed by Lin Wanwan's laser stare. I dragged my slippers and wobbled over to the door. I looked out the peephole. Whoa! Good heavens! There was a whole line of people standing. Leading the door was a middle-aged man wearing a handmade black suit. His hair was combed back, slicked, not a single hair out of place. Wearing white gloves, his expression as serious as if he was attending a state. Behind him stood four big guys in black suits in perfect formation. Each of them looked about 1.9 meters tall, wearing sunglasses. Those chest muscles felt like one punch could knock out a cow. This whole setup, I thought some movie crew had come to our rundown apartment complex to film a mafia movie. I hesitated for a moment, but still opened the door a crack. "Who are you looking for?" The suited man in the front bowed slightly. His voice was steady and magnetic, exactly like an English butler from the movies. "Excuse me, is Miss Lin Wanwan here?" I was confused. Looking for Lin Wanwan? Doesn't she live right across the hall? I turned my head and shouted into the house. "Lin Wanwan, someone's looking for you." "Oh," she replied. She stood up from the dinner table, wiping her mouth as she walked towards the door. My dad and mom also curiously poked their heads out to look. When Lin Wanwan appeared at the door, the serious expression on the suited butler's face instantly melted away. It was replaced by an expression of extreme reverence. He gave a sharp 90-degree bow. His voice boomed, "Miss, we've finally found you." My parents and I were instantly stunned on the spot. "Miss? Why does this title sound so high society?" Seeing this grand scene, Lin Wanwan's little face turned pale. She quickly pulled the butler aside, lowered her voice with a hint of annoyance. "Butler Wong, Didn't I tell you not to come look for me here? The man called Butler Wong straightened up, looking completely torn and aggrieved. Miss, I didn't want to either, but you've been out experiencing life for a whole month straight. The master is very worried about your health. He's afraid you're malnourished. Experiencing life? Malnourished? I looked down at the glistening braised pork on our table, and then looked at Lin Wanwan's noticeably rounder cheeks. If this is called malnourished, doesn't that mean our whole family is basically starving to the bone? Butler Wong continued his report. And also, miss, the master asked me to remind you. He cleared his throat, using a professional reporting tone. That little project you casually mentioned before, about investing tens of billions in Europe to acquire a few luxury brands. The board of directors has unanimously approved it. We're just waiting for you to come back and sign the papers. A dead silence fell over the room. I felt like my brain was a computer infected by a virus, just totally crashing. Blue screen of death. Tens of billions? A little project? I slowly, frame by frame, turned my head. I saw the new Laoshan wine glass in my dad's hand. Clang, drop to the floor. Shattered into 8 pieces. I saw the piece of braised pork my mom had just getting ready to put into my bowl. Splat, fall right back into the plate, splashing grease all over my face, and I stared blankly at Lin Wanwan, who was currently flustered, trying to make Butler Wong shut his mouth. The very girl who for 20 years wore cheap 9.9 yuan t-shirts from Pinduoduo every day, coming to our house to mooch meals. The girl next door who ate more happily than anyone else. The one my dad was just calculating to marry off to me, to save our family some money. Her dad is the richest man in the world? My worldview was completely turned upside down in this moment, then repeatedly dragged across the floor. Only a few words were looping in my brain. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my goodness. My dad, Comrade Jiang Zhangwo, was currently standing there with his eyes wide open, as if his soul had left his body. My mom, Madame Zhang Huifang, was clutching her chest, panting heavily, looking like she was going to have a spike in blood pressure any second. And I, as the youngest and strongest male in this household, I performed slightly better. I just felt my legs go a little weak, and I had to hold on to the doorframe to stop myself from dropping to my knees. Lin Wanwan was still whispering, tugging at Butler Wong. I told you those are trivial matters. No need to rush. I'll wait, miss. They might be trivial to you, but for the corporate group, this concerns the strategic layout for the next 10 years. Butler Wong looked anxious. Ooh, I know. You go back first. I'll head back myself in a bit. Lin Wanwan waved her hand impatiently. Butler Wong revealed a look of, I'm suffering inside, but I can't say it. But the master gave a strict order. He commanded that you must be brought back today. He said if you don't come home, he's going to shut down the entire global internet until you appear. Me, my dad, my mom. Good heavens. I literally screamed, good heavens. Is this the unpretentious life of the rich? Disconnect the global internet over a tiny disagreement? Is Elon Musk your relative? Lin Wanwan finally ran out of options. She sighed, turned around, and revealed a smile that looked worse than crying. Uncle, Auntie, Jiang Ji. She stuttered for a long time, unable to explain anything. It was my mom who recovered first. She pointed shakily at Butler Wong. Wan. What hour is this? Ah, he's my family's butler. Lin Wanwan said softly. Doesn't your family only have your mom and dad? My dad also found his voice, but it sounded a bit hollow. Lin Wanwan's face turned even redder. Head down, her voice soft like a mosquito's buzz. My parents are my life assistants. Boom! Another massive bombshell. I felt like the top of my skull had been blown right off. That guy who rode a broken electric scooter every day, wearing a security guard uniform, who would bow and nod when he saw us, saying, "Brother Zhang drinking again? Uncle Lin?" And the one at the wet market, who would haggle with vendors for half an hour over 10 cents. With her big wavy perm, Auntie Lin, are her life assistants? So for 20 years, our family has been neighbors with the daughter of the world's richest man and the richest man's top-tier life assistant team. And what's more, we comfortably accepted the billionaire's daughter mooching off us. I suddenly remembered every time my parents put food in Wan's bowl saying, "Eat more. Look how thin you are." Uncle Lin and Auntie Lin standing nearby always looked so hesitant, had such complicated expressions on their faces. I used to think they were touched. Now that I think about it, they were just holding back their laughter so hard it hurt. Their daughter eats imported Wagyu beef at home and deep-sea caviar, coming to our house to gnaw on braised pork. And we, full of sympathy, thought she was malnourished. This was simply beggars pitying the emperor for not having a golden rice bowl. Awkward, the utmost awkwardness. My toes were already doing construction work, aiming to carve out a palace of Versailles right here in our 60-square-meter apartment. Uncle, Auntie, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to lie to you. Lin Wan was on the verge of tears. I just wanted to live a normal person's life for a bit. I love the vibe of your family so much. My mom opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but eventually it just turned into a long sigh. My dad silently bent down and started picking up the broken wine glass pieces from the floor, one by one. That silhouette, so desolate, like a philosopher who had just learned the grand truth of the universe. Butler Wang cleared his throat, trying to smooth things over. "Mr. Zhang, Mrs. Zhang, young Mr. Zhang. Please don't misunderstand. Our Mrs. feelings towards all of you are absolutely genuine. The Master has always been grateful to you all as well, thanking you for taking care of our Miss for so many years." As he spoke, he pulled an envelope from his pocket. A very thick envelope. "This is a small token of the Master's appreciation. It's just a trifle. Please accept it." He handed the envelope to my dad with both hands. My dad stared at the envelope, his hands shaking like he had Parkinson's. Not daring to take it, my mom also waved her hands repeatedly. No, we can't accept this. We didn't take care of Wan for money." Butler Wang smiled faintly, a smile that carried a hint of "you peasant wouldn't understand" elegance. "Madam, you misunderstand. This isn't money." "Not money?" I muttered to myself. Could it be gift cards? Butler Wang opened the envelope and pulled out a stack of documents. He handed the documents to my dad. "These are gifts from the Master for you all. A top-floor duplex penthouse in Tianyu Mansion, located in the prime downtown area. 360 square meters, featuring a sky garden and a swimming pool. The property deed is already processed. It is under young Mr. Jiang's name. Furthermore, there is a car pickup voucher for a Rolls-Royce Phantom and a black card with no spending limit. The Master said these are just appetizers. As long as young Mr. Zhang no longer pesters our Miss from now on, there will be even richer rewards to follow." Butler Wang's voice was very flat, but every word fell like a heavy hammer, smashing ruthlessly onto my heart. No longer pester? Rich rewards? I understood instantly. So that's how it is. In the eyes of the billionaire, I was just some arrogant nobody. A poor boy trying to climb the social ladder. They were trying to throw money at my face, to tell me to get lost. My dad's face instantly swelled to a purplish red. "You! What is the meaning of this?" He was trembling with anger. "Our family may be poor, but we have a backbone. We treated Wan Wan like our own daughter. How dare you insult us like this? Dad, I called out to him. I could feel that my dad's pride had been trampled like never before. Lin Wan Wan was also frantic, yelling at Butler Wong. Butler Wong, what nonsense are you sprouting? Who told you to do this? Did Daddy misunderstand something? Butler Wong still maintained his professional smile. Miss, I am merely following orders. Following orders. Looking at the scene unfolding before me, I suddenly felt completely calm. I even wanted to laugh. I took a deep breath and took the stack of documents from my still dazed dad's hands. A flash of contempt crossed Butler Wang's eyes, as if saying, see? Poor people are poor people in the end. In the face of money, all that talk about a backbone is fake. Lin Wan Wan wore a face of total disbelief, her eyes turning red. Jiang Ji, I ignored her. I just picked up the property deed and examined it carefully. TSK, Tianyu Mansion, downtown, 200K per square meter, a top-tier luxury home. 360 square meters. That's over 70 million right there. And a Rolls-Royce Phantom. That's gotta be another 10 million on the road, plus a no-limit black card. This billionaire we've never even met. Hey. Billionaire Mr. Lin is certainly generous. I put the documents back into the envelope. And then, under everyone's shocked gazes, I pulled out my phone and opened the calculator app. My parents were baffled. Lin Wan Wan was baffled. Butler Wong and the bodyguards behind him were baffled, too. They were probably thinking, is this kid trying to calculate how much all these things are worth in total? And then faint from excitement, I ignored their stares. My fingers tapped rapidly on the screen, while I muttered out loud, 3 meals a day. The cost of a meal for one person, based on the standards of 10 years ago, let's say $10. Nowadays, it has to be 30. Let's take an average. $20 a meal, that's $60 a day. 365 days a year, that's $21,900. Lin Wan Wan started mooching meals at age 3, all the way to 23 now. That makes a total of 20 years. 20 years. That's $438,000. But that's just the food cost. I looked up at Butler Wong, who is turning into stone. We have to factor in inflation, right? I'm not a professional, so let's just calculate a rough compound interest. 5% a year isn't too much to ask, right? Over 20 years, principal and interest is about 1.16 million. Plus, there's compensation for mental distress, emotional investment fees, and my parents' 20-year labor fees for cooking. These are hard to quantify, but you have to give a fair sum, right? Oh, and because of her, I haven't even had a single girlfriend up till now. Everyone thought we were an item. Doesn't that count as delaying my youth? Youth damage compensation has to be included. As I spoke, I was tapping away asterisk click dash clack asterisk on my calculator. Finally, I arrived at a number. I turned the phone screen toward Butler Wong. My expression serious, my tone earnest. Butler Wong, go back and tell your master. We don't want the house, the car, or the car. Just settle the meal tab for these past 20 years, and we'll be good. I'll round it off for you. Make it a nice whole number. I paused and spoke the number I got after 50 million calculation. Once the bill is paid, we are totally even. After that, she walks her sunny road, and we eat our braised pork. Silence. A deathly silence. You could hear a pin drop. Butler Wang's forever unchanging poker face was currently displaying an incredibly colorful array of expressions. His face turned blue, then pale, like a colorful dye shop. He's probably navigated the business world for years, handled countless tricky situations for his master, seen endless greedy fools, and witnessed just as many who pretend to be noble. But he had definitely never seen someone like me. 1 second, he thought I was just another greedy punk. And the next second, I pulled out a calculator to tally up a 20-year grocery bill. This move completely exceeded his comprehension. Young Mr. Jiang, his lips trembled, taking a long time to find his voice. What is the meaning of this? The meaning is very clear. I waved my phone, looking completely justified. Money in one hand, ties cut with the other. You pay for the meals, and I draw a clear line with Lin Wanwan. A very fair trade, isn't it? Fair? Butler Wong swayed. Almost unable to stand, the bodyguards behind him quickly caught him. Butler Wong, are you all right? I'm fine. He waved his hand, taking a deep breath, seeming to try and calm himself down. He looked at me again, his eyes full of complex emotions. There was shock, confusion, but mostly a sense of sheer absurdity, like he'd seen a ghost. Young Mr. Jiang, are you sure you are not joking? Does my face look like I'm joking? I kept a stern expression. For the past 20 years, our family lived frugally, enduring hardships to give Lin Wanwan the best. My parents wouldn't even spend their pension just to buy meat for her. What did we invest? It was our affection and our heart's blood. The more I spoke, the more agitated I became. I were the one who had suffered a massive injustice. And now, with a simple, no longer pester. You want to throw some money to get rid of us? Where in the world is there such an easy deal? Let me tell you, emotions are priceless. But my tone suddenly flipped. Everything that does have a price comes to 50 million, not a penny less. We support WeChat, Alipay, and bank transfers. No checks, they cash too slowly. This impassioned, logically airtight speech of mine directly silenced everyone present. My parents had recovered from their shock and were currently looking at me with an expression of, did our son get beaten silly? Wondering why I'd do this. Lin Wanwan had completely switched from the sorrow of being insulted to a state of being utterly speechless at my wild operation. She looked at my slightly red eyes, wanting to say something, but not knowing where to start. Finally, she stomped her foot, shouted at me, "Jiangji, you jerk," and turned to run away. Miss, Butler Wong panicked, and quickly ordered the bodyguards, "Hurry, follow her." Miss. 2 bodyguards immediately chased after her. The scene was left with only Butler Wong, 2 other bodyguards, and our messy family of 3. Butler Wong looked at me, his expression beyond complex. It was a twisted mix of absurdity, admiration, and an extreme headache. Young Mr. Jiang? He seemed to want to say something, but ultimately it turned into a sigh. I will report this matter truthfully to the master. He placed the envelope containing the property deed and car keys on the shoe cabinet by the door. Please hold on to these for now. As for the meal money you mentioned, we will discuss it after I consult the master. With that, he bowed to us once more, then hurriedly left with the remaining men. The door closed. The whole world was finally quiet. I let out a long breath, feeling like I had just fought a tough battle. My legs went weak, and I slumped directly onto the floor. "Son, are you all right?" My mom hurried over to help me up. "Were you scared silly just now? Why on earth did you ask them for grocery money?" My dad also looked at me with a worried face. I leaned against the wall and gave a bitter smile. "Mom, Dad, what else could I do?" I looked at them seriously and said, "He is the richest man in the world. What are we? Just ordinary folks." In his eyes, We are no different from ants on the side of the road. He threw money at us to make us leave Wan. If we took it, we'd truly become the greedy scoundrels who are after his wealth. We'd never be able to hold our heads up in front of Wan if we didn't accept it and chase them out acting all high and mighty. They would just think we were playing hard to get, plotting for an even bigger payout. We'd be wrong either way. So I had to play an unpredictable hand. I picked up the envelope from the shoe cabinet and weighed it, asking him for grocery money. Sounds absurd and totally crazy. But precisely this absurdity can break his preset narrative. He thought I was a greedy pretty boy. But instead, I seriously calculated the cost of basic necessities with him. This contrast will make him curious about me. Rather than just feeling pure contempt and anger, he will wonder what kind of weirdo this kid is and what he actually wants. As long as he starts thinking we are no longer just ants he can easily crush, we then have the qualification to negotiate. My parents listened, completely dumbfounded. That actually makes a lot of sense. My mom rubbed my head tenderly. You've been wronged, my child. I smiled. Not wronged, just a bit socially dead. Thinking about how I held that calculator just now and spouted serious nonsense. My toes started to curl in embarrassment again. Meanwhile, in an extended Rolls-Royce, Lin Wan sat in the corner with red eyes, not saying a word. Butler Wang sat across from her, making a call on an encrypted phone. From the other end came a man's authoritative voice. Well, is it done? Butler Wang wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and answered respectfully. Master, there was a tiny unexpected incident. Unexpected incident? What incident? Does that kid think it's not enough money? The man's voice turned cold. No. Butler Wang organized his words and spoke with difficulty. He didn't want the money. Oh? He has some backbone. Then what does he want? Shares in my company? Or does he want to be my golden son-in-law? The man's voice carried a hint of sarcasm. Butler Wang took a deep breath, speaking with a tone of facing imminent death. He pulled out a calculator and did some accounting. Accounting? Yes, he calculated the grocery bill for the 20 years the Miss silence on the other end of the phone. A full half-minute of silence. So long that Butler Wang thought the signal dropped. Hello? Master, are you still listening? He's listening. A woman's voice came from the phone, seemingly trying hard to hold back laughter. Your master is currently questioning his life. Butler Wang could clearly hear heavy breathing from the other side and the sound of a cup being crushed. How much did he calculate? The billionaire, Lin Wanyi's voice like it was squeezed through his teeth. He said, including inflation, mental damage compensation, and youth delay compensation. Rounding off the fractions, he wants 50 million PFFT. On the other end, the woman who had been holding it in finally burst into explosive laughter. Old Lin, look at this. You're being treated like a freeloader. And he wants you to pay a 50 million grocery bill. This is killing me. Lin Wanyi ignored his wife's teasing. He was silent for a long time, so long that Butler Wang thought he was going to order me thrown into the river. Finally, a deep and slightly amused voice came through the phone. Interesting. What is this kid's name? Jiangji. Lin Wanyi repeated the name. Give it to him. Ah? Butler Wang was stunned. I said, give him the 50 million? Lin Wanyi's voice left no room for doubt. I want to see what kind of tricks this kid who dares to ask me for grocery money will play after he gets it. The next day, I was woken up by a frantic knocking on the door. Sporting a messy bedhead, I grudgingly went to open the door, thinking it was Lin Wan coming over for breakfast again. But the person standing at the door was still yesterday's Butler Wong. Except today, he looked even more respectful than yesterday. His eyes even held a hint of curiosity, like he was looking at a rare animal. "Good morning, young Mr. Jiang." He bowed slightly. "Morning." I yawned. "What's up?" "Us up?" "Under the master's orders, I'm here to deliver something to you." With that, he stepped aside, and I saw behind him 2 bodyguards carrying a massive safe. "What is this?" I was shocked. "The meal money you requested," Butler Wong said with a serious face. I had just been talking big yesterday. To break the ice. Who knew they would actually take it seriously? And who pays a grocery bill with a safe? Butler Wong, I was just joking yesterday. I tried to explain. "No, young Mr. Jiang. Our master says a promise made is a promise kept. A debt for 20 years of meals must be paid." Butler Wong was dead serious. He clapped his hands, and the 2 bodyguards grunted, lifting that waist-high safe and placing it heavily right in the middle of our living room. The floor shook with the impact. My parents came out of their room upon hearing the noise and were dumbfounded by the scene. "Mr. Jiang, Mrs. Jiang, this is what your family deserves." As Butler Wong spoke, he took a key from his pocket, inserted it into the safe, entered the password, and with a click, the door swung open. The blinding golden light almost blinded my eyes. A full box of gold bars, neatly arranged, stacked just like bricks. This is based on international gold prices, the equivalent of 50 million RMB in gold. Butler Wong introduced. "The master said cash takes up too much space, so gold is more convenient." "Convenient? You call this convenient? Our house doesn't even have a place to store this." I looked at that box of shiny golden things and felt my breathing stop. My parents slumped directly onto the sofa, wearing expressions of "Where am I? Who am I? And why does our house suddenly have a gold mine?" Butler Wong seemed very satisfied with our reaction. He closed the safe and handed the key to me. "Young Mr. Jiang, the debt is settled, as agreed. I hope you will no longer have any involvement with our miss." His words were like a basin of cold water, instantly extinguishing the tiny bit of greed that arose when I saw the gold bars. I looked at him, then at the giant safe. I understood. This isn't meal money. This is a breakup fee, and a breakup fee laced with humiliation at that. Lin Wanyi is telling me, "Kid, I paid your price. Now take your money and get as far away as possible." The fire in my heart flared up instantly. I didn't take the key. I just let out a cold laugh. "Butler Wong, did you get something wrong?" I said it was meal money. For the past 20 years, I didn't say anything about the future. I said slowly. Butler Wong was stunned. "Young Mr. Jiang, what do you mean? Are you trying to go back on your word? Go back on my word?" No. I waved my hand. "I mean, this 50 million only settles the past account. From today on, if Lin Wan comes to my house for another meal, that'll be a separate charge." I looked at Butler Wang's intensely twitching face and deliberately stretched out my words. "After all, with the fuss you guys made, our family's dining standards have to be raised accordingly, right? It used to be home cooking, but now it has to be a Michelin 3-star standard. Charging 80 or 100,000 per meal isn't too much, is it? Butler Wong looked at me, his mouth opening and closing repeatedly. Finally, he choked out one sentence. "You scoundrel." "I'm flattered." I smiled faintly. "Compared to your master, I'm still far behind." Just then, my phone rang. I picked it up and saw it was Lin Wan calling. I answered the call, put it on speaker. From the other end came her crying voice. "Zhang Ji? Did you take my dad's money?" "I did," I admitted openly. "A whole box full of gold bars, just worrying about where to put them." You jerk," she yelled angrily. "I never thought you were this kind of person for money. You'd even throw away our 20 years of relationship." "Relationship? What relationship?" I feigned surprise. "Is there anything between us besides a meal-mooching friendship?" On the phone, Lin Wan was so mad she couldn't speak. I could only hear her heavy breathing. I could imagine her stomping her feet in anger right now. But I had to do this. I wanted to make her, and her dad, think that I was just a money-grubbing, profit-seeking lowlife. Only then would they drop their guard around me. Only then could I figure out the real reason Lin Wan suddenly ran away. To hide out and experience life at my house. Butler Wong said it was to avoid a commercial arranged marriage. But I felt things weren't that simple. "All right, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up," I said lazily. "I need to go figure out how to exchange these gold bars for cash, then go buy a big mansion, marry a rich beauty, and reach the peak of my life. Zhang Ji, you just wait." "I hate you." The phone was hung up fiercely. I put my phone down, looking at the livid Butler Wong. I shrugged. "See? Problem solved. She hates my guts now. She definitely won't come pestering me ever again." Butler Wong stared at me intensely, as if trying to find a flower growing on my face. Half a day later, he let out a cold snort. "I hope so." He didn't say another word. Turning around to leave, at the door, he stopped, looked back, and gave me a deep look. "Young Mr. Zhang, our master asked me to pass you a message. He says, 'Young man, the road is long. Do not lose yourself over a little bit of money. This world is much more complicated than you imagine.'" With that, he left without looking back. I watched his retreating back, the smile on my lips slowly fading. Complicated? Of course, I know it's complicated. If it was just a simple commercial marriage, a big shot like Lin Wan would have plenty of ways to solve it. There would be no need for Lin Wan to run away. Her hiding at my house must have a deeper reason. And this reason is very likely related to her arranged fiancé. I looked down at the massive safe in the middle of the living room. "Since you guys have set the stage, then I will gladly play along in this drama. I really want to see what kind of monster this fiancé is." To make even the world's richest man feel it's a tricky situation, that afternoon, as I was searching online, how to legally and low-key dispose of a large amount of gold, an unknown number called. I answered, "Hello? Is this Zhang Ji?" From the other end came a young but extremely arrogant voice. "That's me. Who are you?" "You have no right to know who I am." The other side sneered. "I'm only giving you one piece of advice. Stay far away from Lin Wan. She isn't someone trash like you can covet." I raised an eyebrow. "Big talk, huh? What, are you her arranged fiancé?" The other side didn't seem to expect me to be so direct, and paused for a moment. "Looks like you aren't completely stupid." "That's right. My name is Si Chu Tian, and very soon I will be Wan's fiancé." Si Chu Tian. Just hearing the name screams domineering CEO. So you called to threaten me? I laughed. Not a threat. It's a notification. Siqian's voice was full of disdain. I've looked into your background. Just a poor student from an ordinary family. That 50 million Uncle Lin gave you is money you couldn't earn in a lifetime. Taking the money and getting lost is your best option. If you don't know what's good for you and insist on having delusions, he paused, his voice turning sinister. I will make you and your family know what regret means. For example, making sure you can't graduate, making your parents lose their jobs, making it so your whole family can't even find a job, sweeping the streets in this city. A naked threat, and it was aimed at my family. My eyes instantly turned cold. Siku Tian, was it? I don't care what kind of domineering CEO or king of the world you are. I'm only telling you one thing. If you dare touch a single hair on my parents' heads, I promise you will die. Very rhythmically. With that, I hung up the phone straight away. I looked out the window, my eyes icy. It seems this Siku Tian is the key to the problem. Someone who would make Lin Wanwan rather run away from home just to hide from him. Making a big shot like Lin Wanyi find it so tricky that he could only use money to solve the problem. This Siku Tian's background is definitely not simple. And he's arrogant, conceited, and ruthless. Dealing with this kind of person, conventional methods won't work. I have to use unconventional operations. I took out my phone, found a number, and dialed it. The call connected quickly. Hey, Ji bro. What's up? Out of money again? Let's get this straight. I can only lend you 200 this month. Any more, and I'll be eating dirt. From the other end came the voice of my college roommate, Fatty. Fatty, do me a favor. What favor? As long as it's not borrowing money, we can talk. Help me look into someone. Siku Tian, male, 25 or 26. His family should be very rich. Extremely rich. Fatty was silent for a moment. Gee bro, did you mess with this kind of person? Let me tell you, we can't afford to mess with people like that. Listen to my advice. Hurry up and get on your knees to apologize. I'm asking you to look into him, not to give me a lecture. I cut him off. Just tell me, can you look into him or not? Fatty is in the computer science department. His biggest hobby is being an internet vigilante. And his skills are top-notch in our school. I can, but bro, this is illegal. I'll transfer you 50,000, I said calmly. Fatty went silent. 100,000, deal. Fatty instantly changed his tune, his voice becoming eager and fawning. Bro, your command is my wish. Don't just say look into him. Even if you want me to dig up his ancestors' graves, I'll get it done for you. Properly. You want to know what color his underwear is? I'll dig that up too. I laughed. No need for that level of detail. I just need to know what he fears most, what he cares about most, and whatever dark secrets he has. The more the better. Fatty's efficiency was extremely high. In less than a day, an encrypted file was sent to my email. The title was very flashy. Domineering CEO Ultimate Collection of Seeking Death and Dark History Collector's Edition. I clicked it open. The content was even flashier than the title. Siku Tian, 25 years old. The sole heir to the Siku Corporation. Assets in the hundreds of billions. On the surface, he's a young, successful, decisive business prodigy. But behind the scenes, he's a control freak. A slightly neurotic paranoid. The file listed a series of his glorious deeds. For example, because a female celebrity he liked took one extra glance at another actor, he used his connections to blacklist that actor. He even locked the female celebrity in his villa for a whole month. Or for instance, he had a business rival who talked back to him at a cocktail party. The very next day, that rival's company faced an all-out hostile takeover, ultimately ending in the ruin of the rival's family. The most outrageous thing was that he is extremely superstitious. Every month, he spends a fortune to invite so-called masters to read his fortune and arrange feng shui. His desk is covered with all sorts of bizarre consecrated items. Furthermore, he has severe germophobia and OCD. Everything must be placed perfectly straight, without the slightest deviation. At the end of the file, Fatty also attached a summary. Gee bro, this guy is ruthless and a psycho. To summarize his weaknesses: first, extremely arrogant. He thinks everything is under his control. Second, extremely superstitious, scared to death of ghosts and gods. Third, extreme OCD, can't stand even a bit of chaos. To deal with this kind of person, you either have to be more ruthless than him or more of a psycho than him. I smiled reading this report. More ruthless than him. I can't do that, but more of a psycho than him? Now I'm wide awake. I closed the computer, took out my phone, and sent a text message to CHU Town. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., Southgate Cafe on campus. Let's talk, he replied quickly. Who do you think you are? You think you're worthy of an appointment with me? I didn't reply. Instead, I sent him a photo that Fatty had found. In the photo, it was CHU Tian acting suspiciously in a temple, performing a full kowtow before a statue of a deity. Next to him was a spirit tablet, with the name of one of his competitors written on it. 3 sticks of incense were planted in front of the tablet, a modern version of a voodoo doll curse. After the text was sent, there was dead silence. After a full 10 minutes, Siqian's phone call finally came. His voice was full of suppressed rage. Where did you get this photo? I have my ways, I said slowly. So, how about it? From the other end came the sound of heavy breathing. Fine, very well, he said through gritted teeth. I want to see what tricks a reckless ant like you is trying to pull. The next day, I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. I chose a seat by the window. At exactly 10 o'clock, a flashy red Ferrari sports car, accompanied by an ear-piercing roar, stopped at the cafe's entrance. The car door opened, and a young man wearing a white suit, hair slicked back and shiny, with "I'm the king of the world" written all over his face, stepped out. It was Sichu Tian. He pushed the door open, looked around, and his gaze accurately locked onto me. Then, he walked towards me with an arrogant strut. He was followed by 2 bodyguards in black, exuding an intimidating aura. The other customers in the cafe were startled by this scene and cast curious glances. Sichu Tian sat down opposite me, crossed his legs, and sized me up with a look as if he was looking at trash. Speak, do you want to live or die? He cut straight to the chase. I ignored him. I just calmly took a sip of coffee. Then, from my backpack, I took out an item and placed it on the table. A compass, made of brass, looking very antique. It was covered with various incomprehensible symbols. Siqian was stunned for a moment and frowned. What the hell are you doing? I didn't speak. I pulled out a second item, a stack of yellow talisman paper. A third item, a peachwood sword. A fourth item, a bagua mirror. In less than a minute, the coffee table between us was covered with all sorts of mystical paraphernalia. Compass, talisman paper, peachwood sword, bagua mirror, bells, sticky rice, black dog blood, substituted with bottled ketchup. Everything you could imagine. Sichu Tian and his 2 bodyguards were completely dumbfounded. In the cafe, the other customers also started casting glances like, did this guy escape from a mental hospital? I ignored everyone's stares. I picked up the compass and pointed it at Si Chu Tian with an air of importance. Then my expression changed drastically. Oh no, this is bad. I stood up abruptly, pointing at Si Chu Tian with a look of terror. Mr. Si Zhu, your yin tang is black. Green light shines from the top of your head. You are entangled by demonic aura. Your days are numbered. My shout was full of energy. The entire cafe instantly fell silent. Everyone's gaze focused on Si Chun's face, which was already starting to turn green. What the hell are you sprouting? Si Chu Tian was both shocked and angry. Although he was swearing, a flash of panic was evident in his eyes, because I had just hit his greatest fear. Me sprouting nonsense? I sneered. I picked up the peach wood sword from the table and flourished it. I am the 38th generation successor of Long Hu Mountain. My Taoist name is Master Sha Dao. I roam the martial world, slaying demons and exorcising evil spirits. I specialize in solving problems for people entangled by petty ghosts. I see that recently you've been having nightmares every night, feeling in a daze, always feeling like someone is staring at your back. Si Chu Tian's pupils contracted. Fatty's data mentioned that he's been under a lot of stress from business recently. He had indeed been suffering from insomnia and dreams. When you walk, do you step with your left foot first? When you go to the bathroom, are you used to using your right? I continued my deadpan nonsense. Si Chu Tian was completely stunned. How did you know? Duh, isn't that what normal people do? But my face displayed an unfathomable smile. Heaven's secrets must not be revealed. I walked a circle around him, shaking my head and sighing as I walked. TSK, demonic aura. What a heavy demonic aura. It has already invaded your vital organs. Mr. CHU, your situation is very dangerous. If it's not dealt with, within 3 days, a bloody disaster will definitely occur. Cold sweat was already forming on Si Chu Tian's forehead. He shouted, trying to sound tough but weak inside. Stop putting on an act. Men, throw him out. Just as his 2 bodyguards were about to step forward, I suddenly shouted loudly, halt! I pulled a yellow talisman from my pocket, bit my fingertip, pre-prepared red ink, drew some squiggles on it, then tossed the talisman into the air. Pointing with the peach wood sword, by the urgent command of the Supreme Lord Lao Zi, Demon, reveal yourself. With a asterisk smack asterisk, I precisely slapped that blood-stained talisman onto Si Chu Tian's forehead. Si Chu Tian froze completely. He could feel the talisman on his forehead was wet, sticky, and even smelled sweet. He instinctively reached up to tear it off. Don't move, I shouted sternly. This is my Long Hu Mountain's demon-suppressing divine talisman. The demonic aura on your body hasn't been dispelled yet. If you let the demonic aura rebound, you will bleed from your 7 orifices on the spot and drop dead. Si Chun's hand froze in midair. He believed it. He really believed it. Because my acting was too realistic, and because he was inherently extremely superstitious. Then, what should I do? His voice was laced with a sob. Where was the domineering CEO now? Don't worry, I comforted him. As long as you cooperate with me, I guarantee you will be safe. I pushed him back into his seat, then picked up the bell from the table, and started performing a ritual dance around him, dancing while chanting, Spirits of heaven, spirits of earth, demons and monsters, reveal yourselves. Theft. Get out of here. 3 circles to the left, 3 to the right. Twist your neck, shake your booty. Early to bed, early to rise. Let's do some exercise. Everyone in the cafe was totally dumbfounded. A domineering CEO in a white suit, with a talisman stuck to his forehead, sitting there looking terrified, while a Taoist priest in a t-shirt and jeans was dancing a calisthenics version exorcism dance around him. This scene was too beautiful. I didn't dare look. Si Chu Tian's two bodyguards were thoroughly questioning their lives. They were probably thinking, who am I? Why am I here? Why do I have to watch my boss be played like a monkey? Should I call the mental hospital to haul these two away? After dancing for about 5 minutes, I felt like I was running out of oxygen. I stopped, wiped my sweat, and said to Chun Tuan with a grave expression, this demon is too powerful. Its cultivation is very deep. Conventional methods won't work. Then what do we do, master? Si Chu Tian was almost crying. There is only one way. I looked at him, my eyes incredibly sincere. Sincerity brings miracles. You must publicly confess to the people you have wronged in the past. Speak out all your sins. Only then can you wash away your karma and obtain forgiveness from the gods. Si Chu Tian's face turned pale. How can I do that? You can't? I sneered. Then just wait to drop dead. Oh right, let me remind you. Did you drive a red Ferrari when you went out today? Yes. Red signifies fire and also blood. You are bound to have a bloody disaster today. Just as my voice fell, a loud asterisk bang asterisk came from outside the cafe. We looked towards the sound, only to see a sanitation worker's tricycle, unable to brake in time, crashed straight into Si Chu Tian's flashy red Ferrari. A large dent was made in the front of the car. Si Chun's face instantly went white as a sheet. Master! Master, save me! He dropped to his knees with an asterisk thump asterisk. He hugged my thigh, crying his heart out. I confess. I'll say everything. Master, you must save me. I looked down at Si Chu Tian kneeling on the floor, snot and tears running down his face. And my heart rejoiced. It worked. I suppressed my smile, helped him up, and patted his shoulder, wearing an expression of, you are teachable. Speak, my child, the gods are watching you. And so, on that bright and sunny morning, in City A's most high-end cafe, an extremely surreal scene unfolded. The heir to the Si Chu Corporation, billionaire CEO Si Chan, stood in the middle of the cafe, facing a crowd of dumbfounded onlookers, and began his confession. My name is Si Chu Chan. I am a jerk. I shouldn't have blacklisted Zhang San. I shouldn't have maliciously acquired Li Si. I was wrong. I was really wrong. As he spoke, he slapped himself in the face. Asterisk slap. It was so earnest and heartfelt. I stood to the side, holding my peach wood sword, putting on the air of a highly cultivated master. I was dying of laughter. Si Chu Tian, you're still too green to fight me. In the face of a psycho, all domineering CEOs are paper tigers. Si Xian's public confession quickly became the biggest joke in City A's upper-class circle. I heard that after he went back, he locked himself in his room for 3 days without coming out. His father, the chairman of the Si Chu Corporation, almost had a heart attack from anger. He immediately froze all his cards and grounded him. And my title, Master Sha Dao, also spread like wildfire in a certain mysterious small circle. Some people even pulled strings to find me, wanting to pay top dollar for me to read their feng shui. Of course, I firmly and righteously refused. Are you kidding me? I'm just an amateur. Putting on one act is fine, but if I act too much, I'll be exposed. After this incident, things finally quieted down on Lin Wanwan. She hadn't called to yell at me for 2 days. I figured she must have also heard through some channels about Si Chun's glorious socially dead moment, and was digesting this absurd information. On the night of the 3rd day, I was curled up on the sofa playing games, when the doorbell rang again. I thought it was my unreliable father-in-law sending people again, and went to open the door impatiently. At the door stood Lin Wanwan. She was wearing a simple white dress. No makeup, hair casually tied up. Her eyes were still a bit red, looking like a wronged little rabbit. She just stood at the door, looking at me without speaking. I leaned against the doorframe, also not speaking. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. After a while, she spoke softly. "Can I come in?" "Come in for what?" "My house doesn't have any Michelin meals for you to mooch," I said on purpose. She bit her lip, her eyes turning even redder. "Jiangji, you're still mad at me, aren't you?" "I'm not mad," I said calmly. "I'm just talking business. Your dad gave me 50 million to stay away from you. I took the money, so naturally, I have to keep my promise." "You're lying." She suddenly became agitated. "You're not that kind of person at all. You're just doing this to make me mad? Then what kind of person am I?" I raised an eyebrow. "You." She was stumped by my question. Holding it in for a while, she changed the subject. "Was it you who did that thing to CHU Tian?" "What CHU Tian Li Tan?" "Don't know him." I started playing dumb. "You're still pretending." She stomped her foot. "I heard all about it. Master Sha Dao? Who else besides you could come up with such a wicked idea?" "So what if I did?" I looked at her. "I helped you solve a problem. Shouldn't you show some appreciation? For the sake of our 20-year mooching friendship, I'll give you a 20% discount. 8 million will do." Lin Wanwan's little face turned red with anger. "You can't go 3 sentences without mentioning money. Have you fallen into a money pit?" "Can't help it. Scared of being poor." I spread my hands, looking indifferent. She stared hard at me for a full minute, then suddenly smiled, smiling like a sly little fox. "All right, you want money, right?" She brought out a thermos from behind her back and shook it in front of me. "Inside is Buddha jumps over the wall that I personally stewed for you, using the best abalone, sea cucumber, and shark fin. The cost is about 200,000. From now on, I will deliver it to you every day. 200,000 a day. I'll deliver it until you're satisfied. How about that?" I was stunned. Such a good thing existed? I looked at her smiling face that held a hint of cunning and suddenly felt things were not that simple. "What exactly do you want to do?" "Nothing." She shoved the thermos into my arms. "Just consider it an advance payment for your salary as my boyfriend." Asterisk cough. Asterisk I almost choked to death on my own spit. "What did you say?" I said, "I want you to be my fake boyfriend." She said, enunciating every word. "Why?" "Because although Sichu Tian is temporarily quiet, my dad has arranged new fiancé candidates for me. Li Tian, Wang Tian, Zhao Tian, each one more outrageous than the last." She looked totally despairing. "So I need a shield. One that will make my dad completely give up. Make him think my taste is hopelessly bad. That I can only marry a greedy and crazy poor boy. A shield." She looked at me, her eyes sparkling. "And you, Jiangji, are the best candidate." I completely understood. So after all that effort, I went from a pretty boy trying to climb the social ladder, upgraded into a crazy guy who can be used as a shield. Do you want this blessing or not? I won't do it. I firmly refuse. 200,000 a day. This isn't about money. 300,000 a day. I, Jiangji, have my own principles. 500,000 a day, plus 3 meals of premium Buddha jumps over the wall. Deal. My principles in the face of money and good food seem so fragile. However, I have a condition. I cleared my throat, trying to salvage a bit of dignity. Go ahead. First, it's just pretend. No physical contact. Okay. Second, you reimburse all expenses. No problem. Third, and this is the most important point. I looked at her. Dead serious. You have to tell me what you are really running from. Don't give me that arranged marriage excuse. I don't buy it. The smile on Lin Wanwan's face slowly disappeared. She was silent for a long time and asked softly, "Do you really want to know?" "Of course," she sighed. A flash of complex emotion I couldn't understand crossed her eyes. "Because of a bet." "A bet?" My grandfather's generation had a pact with the old master of the CHU family. Had a pact? The descendants of the three families must intermarry. The winner will receive an item. What item? A treasure map. I was speechless. I thought I was listening to some urban business warfare story, but the genre suddenly shifted into a Tomb Raider novel. That treasure map is said to point to a treasure trove rivaling the wealth of nations, enough to change the world's structure. Lin Wanwan's voice was very soft. The CHU family has always coveted this treasure. That's why CHUN is determined to have me. Then why does your dad? My dad doesn't want me to get involved in this conflict. He feels we have enough money. Safety is the most important thing. That's why he wanted to use money to settle it, to make me completely break ties with these matters. And you? Why don't you just tell your dad that you don't want the treasure? Because Lin Wanwan looked at me, her eyes resolute. Because there's an item in that treasure that can cure my mother's illness. I froze. I always thought Lin Wanwan's mom was just busy with work, or had passed away. Your mom? What happened to her? She got a very rare disease. She's been in a coma, lying in the best sanatorium in Switzerland, relying on astronomically expensive medical equipment to sustain her life. All the doctors said there was no hope. Only the notes left by my grandfather mentioned that in that treasure there is a legendary spring of life. It might be the only hope. I fell silent. So this girl who came to my house for meals every day, laughing so carefree, was hiding such a heavy story in her heart. Her so-called experience in life, her so-called running away from home, were all just clumsy acts of rebellion, made in her search for hope. Looking at her reddened eyes, a soft spot in my heart suddenly melted. I opened the thermos in my arms, and a rich aroma instantly filled the whole room. I picked up the spoon, scooped a spoonful, blew on it, and brought it to her mouth. Open. She froze. What are you doing? Taste it for seasoning, I said expressionlessly. If the food made by my future boss doesn't taste good, I'm going to dock your pay. She looked at me, dumbfounded, and opened her mouth. I fed her the spoonful of Buddha jumps over the wall. She chewed, and a tear * plop * fell down. It's salty, she said with a sob. Salty is right. I pulled a tissue and roughly wiped away her tears. From now on, let all your tears flow into the pot, saves on salt. She looked at me, breaking into a smile through her tears. Jiang, you really are a jerk. Thanks for the compliment. I withdrew my hand, silently making a decision in my heart. Fine. Isn't it just a treasure? Isn't it just some mysterious family? Since you can't carry it alone, then I will carry it with you. Who told me to eat your family's food for 20 years? Although it was you mooching off me. Ever since I agreed to be Lin Wanwan's contract boyfriend, my life underwent an earth-shattering change. First, the food standards skyrocketed. From home-cooked stir-fry to state banquet level. Every morning, Lin Wanwan would show up on time carrying a massive food container filled with all sorts of top-tier ingredients I had only ever seen on TV. Australian lobster, French oysters, Japanese Wagyu beef. At first, my parents were flattered, but later they became numb to it. Now, the first thing my dad does when he wakes up every morning is ask, "Son, are we having abalone or shark fin today?" His tone as casual as asking if we're having steamed buns or steamed stuffed buns today. Second, The balance in my bank account would increase by exactly 500,000 every day on the dot. In just a short week, I became a millionaire with a net worth of several million. The first thing I did was make my parents quit their jobs. Then I took them to the best physical examination center for a full body checkup. As my mom said, raising a son for old age. My son is so promising now. He can even support us now. Of course, this was all just on the surface. The real work had just begun. Lin Wanyi, that cheap father-in-law of mine, upon learning that his daughter found such a greedy and crazy boyfriend, reportedly crushed an antique teacup on the spot. Then he began his trials. On the first day, he sent someone over with an invitation, inviting Lin Wanwan and me to attend a top-tier charity auction gala. In Lin Wanwan's words, it was to take me to see the world, so I would feel inadequate and back off. On the day of the gala, I wore a custom-made suit prepared by Lin Wanwan, appearing at the venue looking dapper. The venue was filled with celebrities. Fragrance and shadows intertwined. Everyone wore a proper smile on their face. Speaking business jargon, I couldn't understand. Lin Wanyi was surrounded by a group of people. When he saw us, he just gave me a cold glance and turned his head away. That look was like looking at a mutt that had mingled into a flock of swans. Lin Wanwan was a little nervous. She whispered to me, "Don't be afraid. Stick close to me, speak less." I nodded and then headed straight for the buffet area. Are you kidding? With so much good food, it'd be a waste not to eat. Holding a plate, I rampaged through the dining area, piling up foie gras, caviar, and little cakes into a small mountain. The people around me all looked at me with eyes like they were looking at a monster. Lin Wanwan covered her face, wishing she could find a crack in the ground to hide in on the spot. I didn't care about them. Carrying my little mountain, I found a corner and ate happily. While I was eating, Lin Wanyi walked over holding a wine glass. He was followed by a few wealthy men, eager to watch the show. "Mr. Zhang, are you enjoying the food?" he asked with a fake smile. It's all right. My mouth was stuffed with food. Mumbling indistinctly, "It's just that this foie gras is a bit greasy." A fat rich man behind him laughed. "Mr. Zhang is truly humorous. This is top-tier foie gras flown in from France. One serving costs over $1,000. Really?" I looked at the foie gras on my plate in surprise. "Then I have to eat more. Get my money's worth." Saying that, I speared a large piece and stuffed it into my mouth. The corner of Lin Wanyi's mouth twitched. He took a deep breath, pointing at an item on the auction block, a blue and white porcelain vase that was about to be auctioned. "Mr. Zhang, what do you think of that Yuan Dynasty blue and white?" It was a very beautiful porcelain vase, gleaming with a faint blue light under the lights. The host was hoarsely introducing its history and value. Starting price, 80 million. I squinted and looked at it, then asked Lin Wanyi a question very seriously. "Uncle Lin, do you think this vase is sturdy?" Lin Wanyi was taken aback. "What do you mean?" I put down my plate and gestured. "Such an expensive vase. If I buy it to pickle vegetables, will it leak water?" Asterisk theft. Asterisk the fat rich man behind spat out a mouthful of red wine directly. The others also had expressions of trying hard to hold back laughter. Lin Wanyi's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He stared at me intensely and squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. "Very well." With that, he turned and walked away. If he looked at me for another second, he was afraid he would have a heart attack on the spot. I looked at his furious retreating back and shrugged. So what if it's a failed attempt to act cool? I'll show you what a dimensionality reduction attack is. defeating pretentiousness with absurdity. After the auction trial failed, Lin Wanyi quieted down for 2 days. On the third day, he came up with a new trick. He called Lin Wanwan and me to the headquarters of the Lin Corporation, in a massive conference room. It was full of the group's executives. Everyone was in suits and ties, expressions serious. Lin Wanyi sat at the head of the table, pointing at a complex project proposal on the projector. This is our group's most important project for the next quarter, regarding new energy development. However, currently, we have encountered a bottleneck in a key technology. He looked at me, a hint of provocation in his eyes. Mr. Jiang, since you are Wanwan's boyfriend, you are considered half a member of the family. Why don't you give us some advice? All the executives' gazes instantly focused on me. There was curiosity, contempt, and anticipating a good show. They all knew of my glorious deeds. This was clearly Lin Wanyi, intentionally trying to make a fool of me. Lin Wanwan, under the table, nervously kicked me, signaling me not to speak nonsense. I gave her a reassuring look, and then I stood up. I walked to the projection screen and carefully looked for a long time at that proposal filled with all sorts of technical jargon and data models. The conference room was terrifyingly quiet. Everyone was waiting to see how I would make a fool of myself. After looking for about 5 minutes, I turned around and cleared my throat. Uncle Lin, executives, I have finished reading this proposal. I think I paused deliberately, keeping everyone in suspense. I think there is a big problem. Lin Wanyi sneered. Oh? I'd love to hear the details. This proposal is too complicated, I said deadpan. It's full of data, models, and various incomprehensible technologies. Don't you think this is a huge waste of time? An executive with a bald spot couldn't help but say, Mr. Zhang, this is a business proposal, not child's play. Of course, it must be rigorous. Rigorous? Can rigor feed you? I retorted. Let me tell you, doing business is just like playing a game. I picked up a marker and drew a simple sketch on the whiteboard. Right now, you are like fighting a major boss. Your proposal is all about studying the boss's skills, calculating his health, analyzing his movements. Is it useful? A little bit. But it's too slow. How do true masters fight bosses? I looked at them and revealed a mysterious smile. It's exploiting bugs. Look, this technical bottleneck is like one of the boss's invincible skills. If you insist on taking it head-on, of course you can't beat it. Why don't you think about if there's any way to bypass it? I used the marker to circle an inconspicuous corner on the sketch. For instance, right here. Why has your energy conversion rate been unable to go up? Because there is a problem with your material A. Why don't you try combining material A and material C in an unexpected way? This is impossible, a technical director immediately retorted. The physical properties of material A and material C are completely incompatible. Forcing them together will only cause an explosion. Who said anything about forcing them together? I rolled my eyes at him. Can't you first use material B to neutralize them? Just like in a game. Before casting a skill, don't you have to apply an armor-breaking debuff to the boss first? Neutralize with material B. That technical director froze and immediately fell into deep thought. In the conference room, all the technical personnel began to put their heads together, whispering. Lin Wanyi also frowned. Although he didn't understand technology, he could tell that my words seemed to have touched upon some key points. This line of thought? That technical director suddenly looked up, his eyes shining like he'd discovered a new continent. It's feasible. Theoretically, it is entirely feasible. Why didn't we think of this? We've been stuck in a fixed mindset. He rushed excitedly to the whiteboard and started writing and drawing frantically. The entire conference room instantly turned into a fiery technical seminar. And the instigator, quietly returned to my seat, hiding my merit and name. Actually, what the hell do I know about new energy? I just watched a strategy video while playing a game last night about how to use a trash material to synthesize a god-tier item, thereby canceling the boss's invincible skill. What I just said was simply swapping the game terminology with the nouns from their proposal. Who would have thought a blind cat would find a dead mouse and actually provided them with inspiration? An hour later, the technical director, holding a stack of draft papers covered in formulas, ran excitedly in front of Lin Wani. "Chairman, it's a success. We succeeded. Following Mr. Jiang's line of thought, we found a breakthrough. This technical bottleneck is solved." Asterisk boom. Asterisk, the entire conference room boiled over. All the executives looked at me with eyes as if looking at a god. They couldn't imagine a world-class problem that had troubled their entire team for months was actually solved by an amateur using a gaming mindset. Is this freaking science or metaphysics? Lin Wani was also completely stunned. He looked at me, his eyes filled with unprecedented shock and bewilderment. He originally wanted to make a fool of me, but as a result, I handed him a massive achievement. This feeling was like punching cotton and having his hand cut by a steel plate hidden inside the cotton. Beyond frustrating, I looked at his incredibly expressive face, smiled faintly, picked up the teacup in front of me, took a gentle sip, and said, "Surprised? Unexpected? That's right. Play with me. I can use 100 unexpected crazy moves to repeatedly crush your worldview." Ever since I became a legend in one battle, at the Ling Corporation's meeting, Lin Wani's attitude towards me took a 180-degree turn. He no longer tried every means to make a fool of me. Instead, he started studying me. He would send people over with all sorts of weird things. For example, a Luban lock, a 9-linked rings puzzle, even math Olympiad questions, trying to test the boundaries of my IQ. Of course, I accepted them all, and then turned around and sold them on Xianyu. He also tried to discuss philosophy with me, from Socrates to Nietzsche, trying to figure out exactly how my brain was wired. And one, in turn, discussed the Tao Te Ching with him. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Uncle Lin, the reason you can't understand me is because your perspective is still at the level of Tao, while I have already reached the realm of not the eternal Tao. After Lin Wani heard this, he was silent for a long time. Then he went back, had someone buy up all the copies of the Tao Te Ching in the company, and studied in seclusion for 3 days. Lin Wanwan told me, the way her dad looks at me every day now is like looking at an alien creature, filled with awe, curiosity, and a trace of fear. He completely gave up the idea of breaking us up, because he realized a player like me who doesn't play by the rules, he simply couldn't control. If he forced a breakup, heaven knows what even more outrageous things I'd do. And my contract relationship with Lin Wanwan, without external pressure, became more and more real. We would go to night markets and eat at street stalls together. I would tease her for her messy eating habits. She would snatch the last piece of meat from my bowl. We would curl up on the sofa playing games together. I'd call her a noob, and she'd scold me for not being a gentleman. Everything seemed to go back to when we were kids. The only difference was my bank account balance was still steadily growing at a rate of 500,000 a day. One day, Lin Wanyi suddenly called us to his home. It was a massive estate located halfway up a mountain, as grand as a castle. In the study, Lin Wanyi sat behind a huge mahogany desk, his expression more serious than ever. There is a new development with the Si Chu family's matter. He cut straight to the point. After that idiot Chin Tain, a fool of himself last time, his father, Si Shong Shong, stepped in personally. He used some underhanded methods and found some clues about the treasure. What clues? I asked. He found out that the 3 keys to open the treasure are hidden in 3 different places, and one of them is in city as Xiezhong has already sent people over. The goal is very clear: to get the key at all costs. Lin Wanwan's face turned pale. Then, what do we do? I have tightened security, but this Xiezhong Zhong is ruthless and will stop at nothing. I'm worried he will harm you. Lin Wanyi's gaze fell on me. Jiang Ji, I know you have some special abilities. He weighed his words. So I want to ask you to protect Wanwan. I can agree to protect her. I nodded. But I have a question. Where are the other 2 keys you mentioned? And that so-called mysterious family? What's their background? Lin Wanyi fell silent. It's a long story. That mysterious family acts bizarrely, and their strength is unfathomable. They seem to be the true guardians of the treasure. As for the other 2 keys, one is in the hands of the Qin family. The other's whereabouts are unknown. So the current situation is, the Si Chu family is making a move. The Qin family wants to intervene. And your family is caught in the middle. You could say that. I understand. This is a 3-way game of chess, and Lin Wanwan and I have involuntarily been drawn into the center of the chessboard. All right, I understand. I stood up. Uncle Lin, don't worry. As long as I'm here, no one can touch a single hair on Lin Wanwan's head. My tone was very flat, but carried an unquestionable confidence. Lin Wanyi looked at me, his eyes complex. He probably still couldn't figure out where a crazy guy like me got his confidence. The next few days were calm and peaceful. The Chu family's people didn't seem to appear, but I knew this was just the calm before the storm. Sure enough, a week later, trouble came. That day, Lin Wanwan and I were dating in the school library. Actually, I dragged her there to help me write my thesis. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Fatty. Gee, bro. Be careful. I monitored an unknown force approaching your location. Well equipped. Hostile intentions. My eyes narrowed. They're here. I looked up and scanned the library. Very quickly, in a corner by the bookshelves, I spotted a few suspicious-looking individuals. They were all wearing plain clothes, but their walking posture and vigilant eyes betrayed their uncommon identities. They were quietly moving towards our direction to surround us. Lin Wanwan also sensed something was wrong and nervously grabbed my arm. Jiang Ji, don't be afraid. I patted her hand and whispered, play along. I suddenly stood up, pointed at Lin Wanwan with a look of grief and indignation. Lin Wanwan, you've gone too far. This shout of mine once again successfully drew the attention of the entire library. Lin Wanwan was stunned. What did I do? You actually secretly hid money from me, I said, heartbroken. Lin Wanwan was completely stunned. Those people who were about to make a move were also stunned. They were probably thinking, we're here to carry out a secret mission. Why did we suddenly walk onto the set of a family drama? I didn't give them time to react. I walked around the table, snatched Lin Wanwan's bag, and dumped everything inside onto the table. Lipstick, compact powder, a small mirror, and several bank cards. I picked up those cards, raised them high. Look, everyone. These are it. She lied to me, saying she had no money, but secretly got so many cards. Lin Wanwan, we're through. We're breaking up. After saying that, I took those cards and ran out of the library without looking back. Jiang Ji, give me my cards back. Lin Wanwan also reacted and quickly chased after me. Those killers were completely bewildered. This isn't the script. What happened to kidnapping? How did it become a bank card robbery? The leader gritted his teeth and shouted in a low voice, "Forget it, chase them." And so, an extremely bizarre scene played out on the campus of a university. I ran in the front, yelling as I ran, "Catch the thief!" Someone robbed a bank card. Lin Wanwan chased from behind, yelling as she chased, "Jiang Ji, you bastard! Give me back my limited edition black card." A group of black-clad killers chased after the two of us relentlessly. But they didn't dare expose their identities, so they could only run along in frustration. The surrounding students took out their phones and started filming this annual blockbuster. Shocking. A university's heartthrob, trapped by love, publicly robs his girlfriend's bank card. 100 ways a crazy boyfriend breaks up. I sprinted all the way, leading them straight to the school security booth. Asterisk smack. Asterisk, I slapped the cards on the table and said to the dozing security guard inside, panting heavily, "Sir? I'm turning myself in. I robbed my girlfriend's cards. I'm guilty." The security guard was startled by me. All sleepiness gone, he looked at me, then looked at Lin Wanwan, who caught up behind me, and that group of panting passers-by in plain clothes. He was completely confused. But what is the situation here? Just then, sirens blared. Several police cars roared over, surrounding the small security booth tightly. A group of heavily armed SWAT officers got out of the cars. It was me who called the police in advance, using an anonymous app. Fatty gave me. The report was, inside a university campus, a group of armed terrorists was spotted, currently hunting down 2 students. When the killers saw this scene, their faces turned green and wanted to run, but it was already too late. "Freeze! Police! Put your hands up!" The SWAT officers swarmed them. In a few swift moves, they pinned all of them to the ground. They searched them and found handguns, silencers, and tranquilizer darts, caught red-handed. Watching this dramatic scene, Lin Wanwan's mouth hung wide. She couldn't speak for a long time. She looked at me, her eyes full of admiration. She finally understood why I had to put on that crazy act in the library. I was using the most outrageous method to nip the danger in the bud. I winked at her smugly, then turned my head, and with a face full of remorse, said to the police officer next to me, "Officer, they are them, and I am me. Although they are terrorists, I also committed a crime. I robbed my girlfriend's bank cards. Although there isn't a single cent in them, the nature of the act is malicious. I request to be locked up with them. To properly reflect on my mistakes." The police officer looked at me, then looked at the group of killers next to us who looked like they wanted to die, his mouth twitching wildly. He patted my shoulder and said earnestly, "Young man, brains are a good thing. If you're sick, you need to get treated." In the end, the CHU family's killers were all rounded up, and I, for acting bravely and actively turning myself in, was let go after a verbal warning from the police. This incident also made me completely famous in Cities. Upper-class circle and underworld. No one dared to underestimate this Master Sha Dao anymore. Lin Wanyi even directly transferred 10% of the Lin Corporation shares into my name, calling it a dowry. Looking at that long string of zeros in my account, for the first time I felt the boredom and dullness of being rich. At the end of the story, under the joint operation of Fadi and me, we successfully found blackmail material on the Sichu and Qin families using the methods they feared most. We forced them to withdraw from this battle for the treasure. And that lost key had actually been with Lin Wanwan all along. It was a necklace pendant left to her by her mother. As for that so-called spring of life, we also found it. It can't bring the dead back to life, but it is an extremely rare energy ore, providing nearly limitless power. For the most advanced medical equipment, it was exactly relying on it that Lin Wanwan's mother finally woke up from her coma. Everything had the most perfect ending. On a sunny afternoon, I was lying on the lawn of my own villa, enjoying the happiness of a slacker. Lin Wanwan brought a plate of cut fruit, sat next to me and fed me. Jiangji? Let's get married. I froze for a moment and looked at her. Under the sun, her eyes were brighter than the stars. I smiled. Marriage is fine, but I have a condition. What condition? She asked nervously. I sat up, leaned into her ear, and whispered something. After hearing it, her face turned red instantly. She grabbed a piece of watermelon and stuffed it in my mouth. Jiangji, you pervert. What did I say? I said, from now on, you cook the meals at home, and I'll wash the dishes. After all, having eaten your food for 20 years, I have to repay you. Although it was you mooching off me, but for the rest of our lives, I want it to be my turn to feed you.